All right, so Amber Guyger, she was found guilty for the murder of Botham Jean. At the recording of this video, she hasn't been sentenced yet, so um, that's still to come. I've been meaning to talk about this whole entire situation. I wanted to collectively get all the facts before I give my opinion on something. I feel like you need to have everything in order to give an opinion on just, anything, especially something like this that's really controversial. So, that's just that. But all right, let's unpack this. So, first thing I want to address, and this is just to people who are actually defending this woman or actually feel like this woman is justified for shooting a man in his own home. There is no fucking planet on the universe. There's nowhere where it's right to come in somebody's home and shoot and kill them. I don't care how you feel about black people. I don't care if you think black people are a bunch of just monkeys, apes, low down, whatever you feel about black people, man. There is no justifiable reason to defend her actions. And if you defend her actions, that means that's something that you would do, right? That's something that you would do it. You would do it just because you don't like black people. You would just do it, or like at the end of the day, an innocent man, got killed in his own home. They tried their best to vilify him. He smoked weed. This man never committed a crime in his life. He has no record of anything. Like it's one of those cases where it's like she had to lose. There's no fucking way that you can make that right. There's no way. And then like people are saying, I'm sorry, the defense, Amber Guyger's defense. It's funny just watching this mother. It's like defend her, and it's really comical because he's sitting there talking about she worked 40 hours in 4 days. 40 hours in 4 days. Most people work 40 hours in 5 days. I've worked 16-hour days consecutively. I ain't never killed nobody, man. How do you defend that? That lawyer's worked more hours. I'm sure he has more cases, more criminals that he has to consult, things like that. He's never killed anybody. The simple fact that he even brought that up was funny. I laughed so fucking hard when he said that. 40 hours in 4 days? Are you serious? I mean, she is a trained police officer. She is given a service weapon. She is trusted by the United States of America or whatever jurisdiction that she serves to serve and protect and enforce the law. Enforce the law, not kill somebody in their house. I need y'all to understand that. She is law enforcement. Somewhere along the line, police officers started thinking that they were the authority in everything. Whether they're wrong or right, they feel like they are the authority. Like, there were so many holes in her story. There were so many holes in just her as general. Like, she had time to text her, I guess her lover, somebody she was having an affair with. The dude was married and shit. She was texting this man while Botham Jean was dying. And she said she gave him CPR. No, she didn't. She didn't have no blood, none of that on her uniform. There was a lady filming her walking across, like back and forth, like on the phone during the time that Botham Jean was dying. That person wasn't even being called on stage. Wasn't even in court to testify on what she seen in her account. They dismissed that. Another funny thing is they dismissed the whole social media aspect of her. She tried to scrub her social media. Think about that for a second. No, seriously. She scrubbed all of her social media. Now, why would she do that? If she just this innocent person, this person who just, you know, no, like she loves everybody. She's no, like, and that's another thing that I think law enforcement needs to do. Well, not law enforcement, just government in general. Look at police officers' social media. Track what they're saying and what they're doing. Hold them accountable for that shit, right? Because in the military, you can't say fuck all white people. You can't say you feel a certain way. If you could, you would shoot people and stuff like that. Police officers can do that shit, and nothing happens to them. But in the military, if you do that shit, you get kicked out. And a dishonorable discharge is way worse than being fired as a police officer. On a job application, they always ask you, were you dishonorably discharged in the military? They don't ask you if you were fired being a police officer. So hold police officers accountable the same way that you hold the military accountable for their actions, right? That's why the military is it's a whole nother beast, right? When it comes to law of armed conflict, when it comes to distinction, they're better at it. They're trained at it. Police officers, they're not trained. They feel like they're on this power trip, and they feel like they're above the law. You're not above the law. The law is the law. The only problem is when you face somebody who doesn't know the law, you trick them into a spot to where you can charge them with something. And that's why I say, people, you need to be versed in the law. Like a police officer, and in most states, whenever they come at you and they say, give me your ID, if you're driving, that's one thing, but if you're just walking or something, they ask you for your ID, you don't have to give them your fucking ID. They need to suspect you for crime in order to ask you for your ID and to detain you. They can't just detain you because they feel like detaining you because they feel like you're a threat. They have to have a reason for that. Anyways, I'm going way out of subject. So going back to the whole Amber Guyger thing, her social media. She thought she scrubbed everything. She had her Pinterest. The Pinterest had a lot of shit. One of the things that kind of disturbed me, I'm not surprised when it comes to police officers as far as their opinion about just society in general and how they feel like they're higher than that. But she said, one of the things that she said something, it takes a lot for me not to kill you or some shit, like shoot you and stuff like that. If they would have used her social media, it would have been a slam dunk. It was a slam dunk either way because, one, she killed an innocent man. Two, she killed an innocent man in his own apartment. And three, this innocent man was not and did not have a criminal record. So there was nothing that you could use against Botham John. You couldn't use anything. That's why it's funny. It takes something like this for a police officer to be guilty of murder. But when a black man's walking the street, where it's open season, and somebody just feels threatened and they shoot him, it's a different story, right? But let's talk about her reaction. And let's talk about her legal team's reaction. There was no reaction. I find that funny too because she didn't flinch. Nobody flinched. Nobody patted her on the back and none of that shit. So either one, the judge gave her or told her what the outcome was going to be, or two, or B, she already knows how much time she's going to serve. And it might not be as much as people think. So everybody's happy about justice being served. We'll see. She's going to go to prison. We know that, right? But how much time Because I'm against the death penalty because I think that's the easy way out. I know she's not getting a death penalty. Everybody knows that. But the more time you spend in that prison, the more time you have to think and reflect on what you should have done. And again, like I said, society loves to put black people underneath society. You think shooting somebody, I was afraid for my life. She kept saying I was afraid. You walked in this man's apartment. You don't get the right to walk free. And she's been free ever since that murder, which was about a year ago. You don't get the right to walk free from murdering somebody accidentally. If I accidentally, think about this, if I walked into a white lady's house accidentally and thought it was my house and I shot her, do you think I'll be walking free? I'll be in jail from the day that they found out it was me up until trial and even after that. I would not be walking free. I would not be afforded the liberties that this woman had up until this point. So the law is not fair. She is a flight risk. Anybody who can mistakenly go into somebody's house and murder them is a flight risk. So why are they walking free? Why? You couldn't demonize this man if you wanted to, right? That's why I found it funny. That's why the defense didn't say anything about this man as far as his character, who he was as a person. It takes somebody who's a clear saint and clearly innocent for a police officer to be guilty for that murder. Let this man have a record of any kind. That would have been brought up in court, and that could have easily swayed the juror to maybe give this woman a pass, even though she's still wrong, and she still murdered this man unjustifiably. But it took that. You have to be the cleanest black man on planet Earth to get justice. That's what it seems like, right? It don't make any sense.